Hi, I'm Reed MacGuirtose. Sort of. I say sort of because Reed MacGuirtose is my screen name that I use for my acting and my stand-up, but I have a lot of other pursuits going on that I use other names for. For example, I write music, I draw, I have my own online comic strip, and all of these projects I use different pseudonyms for. For no really good reason, actually, that I could explain well.
So, hey, welcome to the second episode of my video blog. Which, of course, is chronologically actually the first episode. But I'm calling it the second episode because next week's episode will be the introductory episode, which I'm calling the first episode. Hey, I'm Reed MacGuirtose, and welcome to the first episode of my video blog. Well, actually, it's sort of the first episode of my video blog. Or maybe the 2.5, because the first episode of the second iteration was really supposed to be the second episode, but since the first episode never actually got finished, it was really kind of the first episode by default, though, well, it was the first episode chronologically, it just wasn't supposed to be the first episode. So, in a way, it was supposed to be the second if the first had gotten done. So, who am I, and why should I have my own video blog? Well, if you're watching this, you probably already know who I am, but in case you don't, I'm Reed MacGuirtose, also known as J.S. Nuttall, Alan Clue, and several other names, and I'm an actor, musician, writer, cartoonist, and several other things. And as for why I have a video blog, well, as they say, therein lies a tale. Not a very interesting tale, certainly not one worthy of being called epic in any way, but a tale nonetheless, and a tale that perhaps doesn't really deserve to be told, but nevertheless will be. And so, to tell you the not particularly haunting story of the creation of this blog, I turn now to a mysterious man who's clearly just me in a stupid costume and talking in a cheesy fake voice.
It all started back in the dark days of October 2008. Reed created an introductory video about himself as an entry for some casting call about some video blog project. But then he decided he'd just go ahead and continue his video blog on his own anyway. But it was not to be. Other matters pressed in, and he fell behind, and the prospects of catching up seemed increasingly daunting. And so it was that in January there was posted what would become the very last episode of the video blog. Until a few months ago, when the blog was relaunched. And there was much hope that this time it would continue. But alas, it was not to be. For the same fate again befell the blog, and after only a few episodes, it was consigned to hungry oblivion! Ooh, 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 ooh.
Since the stupid costume me seems to now be stuck on waving his hands around and going ooh-ah, I guess the regular me will pick up the story from here. I guess the next occasion worthy of mention was an event on June 27th, where I saw a number of friends I hadn't seen for a while. Anyway, some of them had been following my video blog, and they told me I should start it up again. Well, truthfully, I'd been intending to do that anyway, I just hadn't gotten around to it. So I decided, what the hey, maybe it was time I should actually do it. And when they suggested Friday, I figured, it's as good a day as any. And I resolved to have the first episode of the latest iteration of my video blog up the following Friday.
Whoa, Harry.
There we go.
Happy blog.
I am incidentally aware that it is not, in fact, the following Friday, but the Thursday following the following Friday. I'm a little late. You know how sometimes the pilot of a TV show is on a different day than the regular episodes? That happens, right? Let's pretend it's because of that. Anyway, I'd actually still been filming things in the vain hopes of getting things caught up. I actually have enough unedited footage to put together a number of lost episodes if I were so inclined. Which, I hasten to add, I'm not. This will be a new iteration of my video blog. The third iteration, which is why I've decided to call it Take 3, instead of what it was called in its previous incarnations, which was Reed MacGuirtose's video blog. Anyway, this episode notwithstanding, the blog is not going to be primarily about itself. Rather, it's going to be primarily about me, and about my travails in the creative pursuits as I continue toward either fame and fortune or ignominious obscurity. I'm kind of hoping for the first one. So, like I said, I'm Reed MacGuirtose, or at least that's one of the names I use. I like using different names for different pursuits, so I'm also J.S. Nuttall, Alan Clue, Zachary Goal, you get the idea. As for which of those is my real name, you're just going to have to guess. Unless you know me in person and know which one is my real name, in which case, never mind. But for the purposes of this blog, I'm going to be using the name Reed MacGuirtose, since that's the name I use as an actor, and therefore, I guess, the one I'm most visibly associated with. As it happens, this was sort of a propitious time to restart the blog anyway, since it was kind of an eventful week. On Sunday the 27th, I wrapped my last day of shooting on a movie called Radio America, directed by Christopher Showerman. I play a kind of a sleazy British band tour manager named English Joe. The last scene I was in, or the last one to be shot anyway, took place in a prison. It was filmed at Linda Vista Hospital, which apparently is a closed-down hospital that's now used in a lot of projects.
Listed on the internet is one of the top 10 most horrible places on the planet. That's no lie.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Now, of course, post-production may take another year or so, and then there's the matter of its finding distribution, so unfortunately I can't really promise you'll be able to see the movie anytime soon, but, eventually. Then the following Tuesday, I had a shoot for a show called ImprovTV, created by MS Blackwell, which is also going to be looking for distribution, but you can see some clips online.
And by the way, I notice you seem to be a bit under the weather. I can possibly present a cure for you, but there may be some slight side effects.
What are the side effects? I don't do side effects.
Oh, well, there's a slight chance you may be catapulted to a universe almost but not entirely like our own. Its slight differences imperceptible to the conscious mind, but their cumulative effect building in your subconscious until over years of time it drives you utterly mad! Also may cause drowsiness.
And then on Wednesday, the first episode went up of a web series I was in, called Hollyweird Studios.
When the Underpass Society meets, I'll be crowned king, and you'll be dead meat!
Anyway, I'm sure there'll be more to say about each of those projects later, so I won't go into too much depth about any of them right now, but at least that should give you a taste of the kinds of things I've been up to. And of course, the problem is that I don't have anything comparably exciting lined up for next week just yet. I have a few auditions and a job interview, but no actual shoots next week or anything like that. But don't worry, I'm sure something will come up. Join me next week, and we'll find out! And by next week, I mean tomorrow. Since this episode was supposed to be up last Friday, so it's almost a week late. And the next episode is supposed to be up this coming Friday, which is to say tomorrow, so next week and tomorrow in this case amount to more or less the same thing, because week minus the 6 days late this episode is 1 day, which is...
Ooh, ah, ooh, ah, ooh, ah, ooh.